Oh,
Two trailer park girls go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
trailer park girls go round the outside, round the outside. It's who's the master?
Guess who's back? Back again. Yo, what's up?
What
Hey,
up,
what's up,
guys?
man?
How y'all
Hey,
doing?
yo, we've been out of the picture for a while. I know. You guys have missed us. That's fine. We missed you
Oh
too.
yeah, we definitely miss everybody, and we've missed each other too. It's not like Anshul and I have been out gallivanting and just partying and not doing anything. I've been busy as hell and not been able to really do much of anything. I haven't seen a whole lot of movies still, but I did see a movie last night.
I've been watching lots of movies. I'm not gonna lie. I watched Dungeons and Dragons.
I heard it was great.
Yeah, I watched John Wick 4, unlike some people.
Hey, easy. I actually have a copy of it now at home, which I'm going to watch when I have time. I've truly been editing and doing nothing but editing for this short film competition that's due on Sunday.
I watched Super Mario Brothers or Mario Brothers if you're Italian like me.
Is that you're Italian? I didn't know that.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I think come on. So real quick, Mario hit $1 billion.
Yeah.
So was it good? I mean, I've heard that if you just want to enjoy a Mario Brothers game movie, it was fun.
We'll talk about that, but that's not what we're here to talk about right now. We're here to talk about the movie they both saw yesterday.
Geege, dude, this movie is all I got to say is that I'm done with the MCU. I've decided that they are not going a direction that I really like, but this movie screamed anti MCU as far as where MCU is right now, because I didn't feel one shred of Disney so much that it actually was an F-bomb in the movie.
You know what? Our boy James Gunn, where did he get his roots? Where did he start out in?
Oh, and Trauma.
Did this not feel like the most trauma of all the Guardians movies?
Definitely.
This very much felt like a trauma movie to me.
But a big budget trauma movie.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I was watching the movie. This motherfucker really got Disney to make $1 billion or $100 million trauma movie, and I mean that in a good way.
But it did work. Dude.
Yeah, it worked. Now it wasn't perfect, and we'll talk about some of the flaws I had.
I had a couple of minor nitpicks, but they're very small to where the movie is still pretty up there for me. I was surprised.
Yeah. You. But then again, you did like Shazam, so.
I do. I stand by that. You know what I will say though? I do think the more I've thought about it, and I've rewatched them now, both. The air was leaking out of my balloon for Quantumania almost immediately after I watched it and did the review. It started coming down from that high and being like, oh, I don't know. And then I rewatched it and I was like, there's some parts that are kind of cringe. And Wakanda Forever, while there are some parts in it that I love, there are some parts in it, rewatching it, that I'm kind of like, I just feel like they could have done better on that. So I'm not liking those movies as much, but man, I had chill moments in this movie. I had moments where I definitely left feeling like I felt walking out of old school superhero MCU films.
Guys, centuries from now, when they discuss the downfall of America, they will link it to Shazam 2. Shazam 2 is the movie
it's like
that will bring down our country. All right? I want you guys to know that. I'm the first person that's calling it, okay? Shazam 2.
I'm getting the deluxe edition.
Shazam 2 ruined freedom for everybody, okay?
I'm getting the deluxe edition on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Maybe 4K.
Maybe that's because he's a communist, people.
No,
but
I'm no commie.
He's bought and paid for by China.
No, the Nazis.
But yeah, man, I really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, there are some flaws. But you're right, man. It's the first time in a Marvel movie where the writing worked, the humor for the most part worked. A couple of jokes missed, and we'll talk about who some of those jokes were centered around that missed. But for the most part, it was a return to glory for Marvel. Now, is it a sign of things to come? I don't know, man. I'm like you. I don't have a lot of faith. You know?
I don't think it's a sign of things to come. In fact, what I felt in this movie is we all know that James Gunn got fired because of that stuff. And we've talked about it 1,000 times here on the channel. But part of him being begged to come back was him being like, and you can tell when you watch this movie, was him being like, cool, I'll come back, but stay the hell out of my way and let me do my Guardians movie. Because the other ones had some moments that felt a little Disney. Dude, this one did not have Disney moments. I mean, it really didn't. I just
No, when
in that
Homeboy
Disney
starts
thing.
whistling with the arrow, that was a Disney moment.
Well, I feel like but what do you mean? Like when he was
When Yondu comes back. So by the way, there will be spoilers.
yeah, it did definitely a spoiler. But
Yeah.
first off, but I thought that was sort of like
Use
I
your
got
heart,
emotional.
boy.
I
Use your
thought that was great.
Yeah, no, Disney movies are very emotional movies, you know?
What I'm saying about Disney stuff, I'm not talking about the good things that Disney can do with movies. I'm talking about what they've done to Marvel when we used to watch MCU movies. For example, watching the Marvels trailer, that looks like a Disney movie that has Marvel characters in it. You know what I mean?
Well, I want to go back to something you compared this to a couple movies. Let's talk about one that we also hated, Thor Ragnarok. Let's talk about Ant-Man Quantumania, which had its problems. I went on and on about how the script writing really let me down on that. But also,
Still better than Thor, though.
yeah, Thor it's too much trying to be funny. It was Thor, you know what Thor was? I just thought about this in the shower while I was getting ready for this. Thor was like if Lorne Michaels did an SNL Marvel movie. That's what Thor Ragnarok
Dude,
was.
you're right, dude. It feels like
Yeah.
a one big sketch comedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even with the LED screens, it feels like they're on a stage in that movie.
And that's where I was going to. So the set designs I loved in this movie. And if you go back and you look at was it Ragnarok? I get my Thor movies mixed
Ragnarok
up.
was the one, the
Yeah,
third one.
Love and Thunder. Sorry, if you go back and look at Love and Thunder, which is the one we hated, if you go back and you look at the last Ant-Man movie, the CG looks great, but all looks so similar. It's so super saturated.
It's that LED screen deal. I'm telling you, it just has that stage vibe.
Yep. And it all kind of blends together. The sets on this were very, very, very unique. You had Nowhere, which is that steampunk vibe. Then you had the bio station they go to, which looked like a giant colon, which I thought was funny. You know, just very, very unique stage designs. By the way, we do have some comments. Welcome back, Derby.
Herb, what's going on? Good to see you.
Says No Way Home. Well. You know what? I can vibe with that, Derpy. I can agree with you on that. The best is No Way Home.
I'd say it's the best. It's better than No Way Home in my opinion.
No, I mean a lot of people like to take away from No Way Home because of nostalgia. They think it's kind of cheap, but I mean the superhero movie is supposed to make you feel like a superhero movie is supposed to.
I just feel like that there's a couple of moments where they just kind of expect you as audience. I feel like this one was really I feel like more effort was put into this one. I feel like maybe it's because they did have a little bit more time. James Gunn had, a lot of time with it, but I don't know. I just feel like that it was just a tighter package, and I didn't really feel like I was expected to just feel like a dumb audience member buying things in this. Where there were moments, not the whole movie, but moments in No Way Home where I was like, "Come on," and I just didn't really feel that way in this movie.
Let's start talking about the bad. Let's start talking at first, and then because we have, I think we both have lots of good things we can say about this movie. So I think that we should start with the bad. Okay. I did not like Adam Warlock. I felt like he was kind of a wasted character.
Yeah, it was weird for sure. I do,
and I think the humor that missed was the humor that was centered around Adam Warlock. In my opinion, I don't think the Adam Warlock jokes hit at all.
I thought a couple were funny, but I think overall their direction they went with that. While I understand James Gunn was probably like, let's flip the script on this. Let's make him some Dumbo. Kind of like they did with MODOK, kind of like they did with the Mandarin and things like that. So I get their little thing they like to do with that sometimes. However, I definitely wanted it to be something not that. You know what I mean? I wanted to actually be able to be like, oh, dang.
I don't mind you making him funny, but just make it work. And they shoehorned him in here when he didn't really fit. It felt like the reason they were putting him in to me, and this kind of goes to post credits, is like, Batista and Drax is going away. Which, by the way, Batista, I know you called Drax a silly role. Let's be honest, it's your best role. Okay, I would just stay doing this if I were you. But you decided to make a different career choice.
You will, unfortunately, in your eyes, you will be remembered as a pop culture icon for the rest of your life as Drax. Drax has broken through that barrier because Guardians has broken through that barrier.
He was a world famous wrestler. More people will know him for Drax. And by the way, he's killed it as Drax. He's
He was
stolen the show.
hilarious in this, dude.
He's this constant scene stealer as
God, he
Drax.
was.
Yeah.
I mean, he was. I literally was like laughing for a good like 30 seconds, almost missing the next dialogue because some of his things were cracking me up that much.
Yeah. And a lot of those ad lib, like that moment in Avengers where he says, "Why is Gamora?" That was an
Yeah,
ad lib line, you know?
and it's perfect.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to it's almost like they just introduced him because they're like, okay, we know we're gonna get rid of Batista, so let's introduce the next goofball idiot, and it's Will Coulter's Warlock. And I feel like that's the only reason he was in the movie.
You see what Derp says real quick. He says he was a weird character for how he's used, but what was giving was good for me. I do think they're building him up. They were trying to get him and change his perspective in this movie, but I don't know if it was necessary to turn him into that Dumbo. I was kind of wanting to be this menacing guy you see on the cover. When you see like a Warlock comic and he's on the cover of it, he looks like a guy that's menacing, you know? So.
Well, they did introduce a MacGuffin for him to change because he didn't incubate long enough. So they could always go back and say he re-incubated and now he's
sure.
Right?
But even
I
then,
don't.
but when they showed him at the end,
Yeah,
when they were sitting there and he's all like dancing, like it doesn't look like he's changed.
you know what? I don't know if Will Coulter is going to be good in that type of menacing role. I think he's better in that funny role. With that being said, I would have minded them holding off introducing him for the next Guardians movie because there was another thing that I wasn't really. I don't want to say I disliked, but I thought it could have been better. Was the villain? I thought the villain could have been better.
Dude, I thought he was phenomenal.
Did you not notice his powers were the exact same as Kang's?
Yeah, well, so that has my brain ticking.
Like, I almost wonder if they just didn't talk to each other when they were making the movie. Like, let's say, like when he screams and explodes and disperses his power and wipes out all the people that are trying to rebel against him. I'm like, we just saw Kang do the same thing in Ant-Man.
So the MCU has kind of been a little, in my opinion, they could do a little better job of making you understand how these villains are doing what they're doing. In all the movies, not just this one, in all of them, I think they could do a little bit. Now, not in the early on. In the early on, they definitely were better about it. But now they're kind of like, okay, check it out. Here's a new villain. And it's like, all right, well, let me understand why he's doing this, how he can do this.
Well, they got away with that earlier, but then they introduced Thanos. And Thanos changed the audience's expectations. So now you can't just go back to the old.
But I even think that they did a better job of it before now. Like, I just feel like that they're just going too fast with the villain's exposition. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think you little less Adam Warlock or no Adam Warlock, a little bit more time for the villain. You didn't need a ton of more time. The performance from the actor was fantastic.
Okay, that's what I was making sure that we were agreeing on. Because that's what I was meaning. He was phenomenal acting wise.
But I think the writing for the villain, it was missing something. It was missing something. His motivations were missing. You know, the connection in the audience was missing. And that's not on him. That's on the script writers, right? Trying to cram too much in there. So had you gotten rid of those scenes with Adam Warlock, the 10, 15 extra minutes you need to make us connect better with Chuck Iwuji's, the High Evolutionary, I think that would have been better. That time would have been better served there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I definitely, I would agree with that. I would have preferred no Adam Warlock and more High Evolutionary.
Which did you know that this was originally supposed to be a Rocket and Groot standalone movie, his origin story?
Like it was not supposed to have anybody else in it?
Yeah, originally the plan was to have a Rocket and Groot standalone movie, and that was going to be where they introduced his origin. And that would have given High Evolutionary more time to develop.
Yeah, but I mean, are you saying they were going to do that instead of a Guardians 3? Or they
would have done it in addition
to Guardians 3?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't have minded that as long as they wouldn't have tried to introduce a bunch of other Marvel characters along the way on their journey, which they probably would have, because that's Disney's thing right now is like, let's make every movie a team-up movie. Guardians, it's already a team-up movie, so you got it, you know?
Yeah.
But anyways, but I'm glad that we did get this backstory on Rocket, though, that we did. And again, spoiler alerts if you guys are just tuning in with this.
Well, that was probably for, I'm assuming for the High Evolutionary. So, gotta be honest, guys, I'm a huge comic fan. The High Evolutionary has never really done it for me as a villain. I've always been like, whatever with this guy.
Well, they're running out of villains that they can use unless they start tapping into X-Men or Fantastic Four, you know?
Yeah, which is they're about to start doing. I just hope they don't screw up Victor Von Doom. My favorite villain of all time.
Let's side shoot real quick.
Uh-huh.
You've heard the two talks that are going around
Okay,
the
let's talk about
campfire
Adam
right now.
Warlock.
No Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you heard the talk around the campfire with Fantastic Four right now. There's two big stories that are happening that are floating. Nothing. Neither of these are confirmed.
So I know Margot Robbie's been considered for Sue Storm,
Right. And then the other one
and
is
she's gonna do a New York accent, Brooklyn accent. For
yeah,
Sue Storm.
right. A Harley Quinn, Harley
Yeah,
Storm.
yeah.
But then the other one, and again, no one knows which role he's being tapped
Adam
for.
Driver.
Yeah. So here's my deal.
Mm.
I would be pissed if he was Reed Richards. If he's Victor, I can see that.
No. If he does Victor like he did Kylo, was it?
No, I'm not saying I want him to be Kylo Ren. I'm saying I think Adam Driver's a good enough actor.
How funny would it be though if he was Kylo Ren as Victor Von Doom?
That it would be funny.
You know, Kylo Ren. I mean, his attitude fits more towards Victor Von Doom because of his vain.
And he's huge in real life.
Yeah, tantrum throwing. Well, he was an ex-Marine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
retired Marine. They don't like to say ex. You know, if you're listening.
No, I work with
Adam Driver's listening.
I've worked with a bunch of Marines. I'm pretty sure they don't care at USA. They call themselves jarheads, man. They don't. Marines don't care, especially when they get out.
No, they just don't want ex-Marine because they're once a Marine, always a Marine. So they don't like to be considered ex. They're just retired.
Okay.
But anyways, I was just bringing that up about Victor Von Doom and Fantastic Four because
I think he's pretty much been confirmed that he wanted to play Reed Richards. They offered him the rumor I heard is they offered him either the two roles, and he said he wanted to do Reed.
Man, I don't want him to be Reed. I want him to be Victor. I just don't think that I don't see Reed in him. But I mean, look, he's a good actor, but I think he's too big to be Reed. I don't consider Reed to be like the 6'5" guy in the room.
I mean, he can stretch to whatever height he wants to stretch to.
True, but I guess I've always seen him being kind of like the same height as Sue, or maybe a little taller than Sue, but I don't know. I'm getting nitpicky now. But speaking of nitpicks, let's back up to Guardians again.
Uh-huh.
What were some of the other nitpicks that you had about outside of the humor not landing with Warlock maybe being shoehorned in there, the villain not getting enough explanation or exposition? What else is some of your nitpicks?
That's really, honestly, I would say about it. I mean, maybe I can think of some if I really rack my brain to it, but then, I'm totally just picking nits at that point. Those are the only two major complaints I had. I've heard some people like Jeremy Johnson and I are usually lockstep on our opinions and stuff. He just thought the movie was okay, and he kind of complained that it was a good Rocket story, but the rest was just MacGuffin Central trying to get the team from one scene set to the next. And in my opinion, that's pretty much every superhero movie. So I don't understand.
But a MacGuffin is if there's just a complete detour or no reason for it to really be in there. But everything they were doing was just things happening to them on their way of trying to save Rocket. So like,
and that's what I expect. That's what I expect from a Guardians movie. Right. So so I was totally fine with that. I didn't get that complaint at all. And once again, I enjoyed the sets, the different set pieces they took us to. Like, I like the fact that they took us to all these different locations.
And yeah, I did too, man. My one little tiny nitpick is an actual like logistical nitpick. Like, I hate this in movies when they're in space. They've even mentioned in this specific movie, they mention, the atmosphere is breathable, but they're in space and people are busting through the windows of their spaceships while they're fighting at the end, and everybody's all right. Like, I don't know, that stuff, that kind of stuff bugs me. Like, it's not a creative choice or anything. I understand that, you probably have an explanation for it. I'm not you. I'm talking about them, the writers, whatever. But I just don't feel like that. I feel like that they should be like, boom, 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 oh, get an oxygen mask. Come on, something. And also, where was Peter's mask?
No, that's a good point.
Like that whole end thing, like, wouldn't he normally have them and he'd be all right?
That does remind me of something. I've been listening to a lot of interviews on this story, and people are retroactively, when they're interviewing Bradley Cooper or James Gunn, they're talking about, oh yeah, I'm glad to see that, we focus on Rocket, since Rocket's always been the main character or the heart of the movie. And I'm like, no, the first two movies were explicitly about Peter.
Yeah. I mean, one he gets from his father and mother, and the other he finds his true father.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I've always thought that Rocket was like adding heart for sure. And
I think after Endgame, Rocket became a bigger focal point because of his, his dichotomy with Thor and him teaming up with Thor.
but yeah, now his whole arc throughout the MCU has been fantastic. And look, man, like we haven't even scratched on this yet. The Rocket stuff was emotional, dude.
Yeah.
Like heavy. I was
Yeah.
very emotional watching those things. I mean, all of it. When he was young Rocket, when he was getting older, when he was newer Rocket, seeing all the animals, and I mean, all of it was just like, dang, dude. I mean, James did a really good job with that.
Hey, that's an example of Disney being Disney, those talking animals.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's added so much though, man. It's like he's like hurts. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Rocket.
Yeah. There were a lot of really emotional Rocket scenes when he goes to quote unquote heaven, and meets Lila again.
Oh, dude. I mean, and even though I knew what was going to happen, I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know exactly that they were going to do it, but it was they were either going to kill him or he's going to go back. But I didn't know if they were going to take the route. But when they did it, it's one of those moments in cinema where it's like, yes, I've seen this scene before in other movies, but it's perfect for this moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Also, Nebula's, coming to accept her emotions.
Dude, when she started crying,
yeah,
that got me.
Yeah, just all the emotions. I mean, Batista, finding his Batista, Drax finding his calling again as being a father again with those kids.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, Drax kills it the entire time. Steals scene after scene.
Yeah, dude, chewing the scenery, for sure, dude. He's definitely was funny. He has gotten the Drax character down pat, and it's funny too, because I honestly don't think that anybody else would have made that character that way.
Also, go on. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say he's in all that makeup and everything, and like you said, the wrestler and just the big meat that he is, and honestly, the way that I looked at Drax in the comics, I never thought that he could be this beloved on screen.
Yeah, for the longest time, Drax in the comics was just like another. It was like Space Hulk, basically, is what he was.
Yeah.
Sorry, something else that somebody else.
Off. Let me do something. Okay, cool.
Okay,
go ahead.
Something else that Jeremy Johns pointed out that has now slipped my mind because I just lost my train of thought.
Oh, God damn it!
Go on. I'll think of it.
Well, I'll tell you what else I liked about this is that not only was there a finality with the characters and the feeling between the characters and all that, but there was a finality feeling from the director. Like, hands down, some of the best action scenes, not only in the MCU, but definitely in the Guardians trilogy. And
hold that thought for a second. I found my thought.
Okay.
Gamora. He brought this up. I like the change with Gamora. He said he was worried. I didn't even think about this. He's like, when they brought Gamora back, her and Peter's relationship was all around the will they, won't they, right? Like much like Ross and Rachel. And he said, I was worried that when they brought her back, they were going to go back to the will they, won't they. They didn't. They changed Gamora and honestly brought a lot, a different angle to their relationship that I thought really worked on screen. This new Gamora, which is probably a lot more comic accurate Gamora than we've seen in the previous Guardians films. I thought Zoe Saldana, of course, she's a good actress and she killed it again.
Yeah, she's good in everything that she's in. But I mean, I feel that way about the entire cast at this point. They're all doing good. Even like Knock at the Cabin, while I didn't enjoy the movie as a whole, I mean, Dave was good in it,
Yeah.
But as far as that action scene, that one where they're in that like corridor, tunnel, hallway thing where the camera is just like moving all over the place. It's towards the end. And then
we got a superhero in the chat, by the way. What up, A-Train?
A-Train.
Yo, man, you gotta get off that Compound V, homie.
Yeah, no kidding. But
yeah, we're excited to see season 4 of The Boys. Just so you know, A-Train.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome that A-Train's here.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I loved about the movie was the very ending part. And again, spoilers here, but it was such a death-proof ending. Like at the end of Death Proof, what happens to Kurt Russell is the girls kick his ass, and it's so gratuitous, over the top, with just close-up camera shots of them kicking him in the face, and this at the end when they start just tag teaming him like crazy out of nowhere, and the whole like no man left behind, we're the team, we're not going to leave anybody behind, and this, I just love it. It was to the point. It wasn't like is he gonna, and he wasn't holding somebody down. They all just come in and just whoop him, dude. I loved it. literally just like with my popcorn, like ah.
So we criticize Ant-Man because the trailer made it look like there was going to be some sort of big death, that things weren't going to be the same after the movie, and instead they end on some cheesy birthday party, right? No real consequences to Ant-Man whatsoever at all. You know, they tried throwing the, oh, maybe things aren't the same at the very end, but no, nobody bought it. Horrible writing. With this, we thought somebody was going to die. With that being said, I still think they ended it in a great way. Do you think they missed an opportunity by not killing off somebody?
You know what's funny is I going into this movie, I was like, I hope someone dies because I want there to be stakes. After seeing this movie, I'm very glad that they all survived. Um, I'm also oh, all right,
All right,
nice.
we'll get.
That's sweet. I
But
also
we want the deets. Yo, A Train. We're a growing channel. Like massive spoilers for Boys season 4 might help put us on the map. I'm just saying. If you
I
want to help,
love the
you
boys.
want to help some homeboys out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Uh,
dude, running
give us
around
those boys
town. You know
spoilers.
those commercials you did on season 3? All
Yeah.
those do some commercials like that for BrassReel movie reviews.
Go on though. I'm sorry. So the death.
No, I think that the way that they changed things and they pulled a Rambo 4 on us where, he at the end of Rambo 4, he finally goes home to his original hometown. And that was, Peter going back to Earth at the end of this one. Again, spoilers. I liked it because there was a finality to it. It wasn't just like, all right, and we'll be back. It did say Star-Lord will be back, but then it makes it look like that they're going to do a whole other story without them involved.
Would it
So
be funny if the new Star-Lord movie was about him starting a landscaping company with his grandpa's son-in-law or whoever it was that he was complaining about at the end?
yeah, the killer from Body Double, a Brian Palma movie. I can't remember that guy's name, but yeah, I mean, I do think that Rocket will stay a part of it completely
Yeah.
because it's just Bradley Cooper doing a voice, like that's easy work for him.
Mhm.
So it's not an inconvenience. It's not like where some of them are like, I'm tired of being in this makeup for 8 hours every day
Same
for
with
4
Vin
months,
and
5
Groot.
months. Yeah, they can just be in there.
Yeah.
But and they also have appeal to kids. So Disney's going to be like, we're going to hold on to you guys like crazy. But Gamora, I could see her coming back for Secret War or something like that. I could see Drax coming back for Secret War, but for like a 20-minute scene. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like the way Endgame was, where everybody shows up for a second, but they're not really in the whole movie. Like I think I could see him doing something like that to where he's like, yeah, if it's a weekend of work, cool, but I ain't doing no 5 months.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's see what our audience has to say about the ending. I thought it was great. There were no deaths. I think James Gunn wanted to put the idea into people's heads that people were going to die and hinted it in the trailers to make us on edge in the theater. Great catch there, A Train.
yeah,
Superhero
I
doing
agree with
superhero
everything you
work.
said
Yeah.
there.
I mean, we did see that opening scene. We saw in the trailer with Peter being carried by Nebula, and we, you all wondered like, oh, is something happened to Peter? And that's the opening scene, and he's being carried because he's wasted, kind of like your boy got carried some night out of the bar some nights when he was at the Blue Goose
Oh God.
drinking with Bobo.
Yeah, same here. Most of
Yeah,
the time it was by my ex-wife though.
yeah.
Dragging me out of there.
Yeah, so yeah, I do think you're right. I think they gave everybody a happy ending, and in this situation, it worked because we do know that the majority of those actors aren't going to be back, more than likely, unless you said like it's for a cameo,
Yeah,
right?
just for a here and there thing.
And I think we like this cast, and so we want them to see them have the happy ending. We don't want to really see anybody die, but we don't want to. We also don't want to see is you to cheat the audience and give us a false sense of expectations and give us this ending that really just doesn't work for us or that's poorly written, like an Ant-Man. You know?
What do you think the chances are that they all are signed on for the next event movie? Not for another Guardians movie, but like I was just saying for like, hey, we just need you to do this.
I think
And
Batista's pretty much said he's done.
he did say he's done, but I could see him coming back though for again a moment, not for a
Yeah, Batista tends to kind of run his mouth on his thoughts, though. He doesn't tend to have mask. He wears, let's put it this way, he wears a heart on his sleeve a lot like your boy, and sometimes there's not, I don't see him being cute with what he's saying. I think when he says something, he means it.
okay. Well, I mean, didn't you do you think that Downey Jr. and Chris Evans were like, I'm done with it? now we know that they're probably going to be back at some point.
Well, Downey Jr., this is his. Marvel is his. The height of the MCU is because of Iron Man. So I think he feels some sort of ownership in it.
So you think that putting Iron Man in Secret War is going to make them hit that next $1 billion event movie?
Yeah, I do. I think just you can advertise him being back and you're going to hit $1 billion.
No, I think there's something to that for sure.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, what about Evans?
Yeah, Evans. I feel like Evans just couldn't find other work, so he came back. I really didn't feel the same love for the role from Evans, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm just
Evans
guessing.
got that new movie with Ana de Armas coming out right now.
Which one? I know he just did Gray Man, which was wildly disappointing.
This one is like where it's like a Romance in the Stone, like romantic action comedy.
Oh, we could talk about the music. This is a good call, A-Train. Let's yeah, the music was a big player in this. By the way, it was 1990s music, which is when your boy was going to high school. That's all my time period, right? So I got major feels from this soundtrack. Space Hog, all of that. And if that's the music has been a signature part of what's made Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sure, that's part of its charm. I mean, him and Zack Snyder are both that way with their movies. They like to throw in moments where they would normally be score if anybody else was directing it. They're throwing in classic rock songs or famous songs from an era. And I like that. I think they're the two guys that can make it work well. I think that when other people are doing it, unfortunately, feels like they're ripping those guys off.
Yeah, I think Love and Thunder was a good example of where it goes wrong.
I agree. Very much.
So we can say about so many things with Marvel. Love and Thunder is where it went wrong, you know?
Even Love and Thunder, they did it and all they used was Guns N' Roses music. So it's like literally like 4 or 5 different Guns N' Roses songs.
Yeah, man.
Thor Love and Thunder brought to you by Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. Also, Shazam is another example of when they did it wrong. I'm just saying. Saying.
All right, here we go. Let me just real quick.
Good to see your punk ass. Where you been?
Oh, look at that bitch.
Yeah.
Hey, since Andrew's on right now, let me just go ahead and say something real quick. So we entered the Bare Bones International Film Festival in Oklahoma, and I'm proud to say that we found out yesterday that we won our category.
Oh, I was going to make a joke, but now you just said you won the category. So I'm going to drop the joke and give you both a heartfelt congratulations. Mainly Adam, because I know he really carried this whole thing.
Yes.
I mean, Andrew. Sorry, Andrew.
It was definitely a joint project. It's our movie, just like all of our projects. And but we did get Best Max Short Dramatics or TV pilot. So it was a short max short, meaning like most of their shorts are like 15 minutes and it's a short, but ours was 34 minutes, which is a max short category. So
that's also what my ex used to call me.
Max Short?
Yeah.
What does that mean? That you were really
hurtful memories.
Yeah, there's all kinds of double interpretations we could get with that.
Every song plays an important part too in Guardians movie, like the start of the movie with Creep, Radiohead.
Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to say something real quick.
By the way, Creep, Radiohead, love that song growing up. Also, way before they started doing too much heroin. Radiohead is a perfect example of the fine line of heroin use. Like there's.
I don't know if they did heroin or not.
Dude, go listen to OK Player.
Just
Kid A is just straight heroin injected into every orifice.
I think that they might be one of those bands. It's like you think that they're big drug heads, but they're not. I'm not saying that they aren't, because I don't know for a fact. But what I did want to say about
somebody asked Siri, does Radiohead do a lot of heroin? I don't have. It's not.
Hey Google. Does Radiohead do heroin?
Sorry, I don't understand.
You know Google.
Does Radiohead, the band, have a history with drugs? Oh, wait a minute. Hey, Google. Does Radiohead, the band, have a history with drugs?
Listen, first answer on Reddit. Sure, they did. Weed, obviously. Ed and Coyne admitted to doing shrooms before the Grammys. There's Tom's tour diary from R.E.M. Monster Tour, where Michael Stipe gives him and Johnny organic pills, quote unquote. Apparently they have a pretty big history of drug use. I do not see heroin on here, but you know what? I'm pretty much calling it, especially if you listen to Kid A. Lots and lots of heroin was used for the making of that.
I love Kid A.
Ridiculous album.
But you know, OK Computer has, you know, crazy music. So does the Bends, but they did get progressively more and more trippy. But so did the Beatles, but they did drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I was going to say about
We talked about this, by the way, A Train, before you hopped on. We were surprised that his helmet was not there.
Yeah, we brought that up. No, what I was going to say about Radiohead and the song at the beginning is that Radiohead is famously said that they refuse to play Creep anymore. They hate it. They're done with that song. Like they're over that and everything. But this was clearly a version of Creep that I hadn't heard before. And that sounded like Tom York, but it was an acoustic version and it sounded very updated. I'm curious to see if he broke his rule and re-recorded it acoustically for this movie, because that's not a version I've ever heard on anything. I've got live versions of them doing it. I've got versions of him doing it on the piano, but I've never heard that version. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
There's no more obnoxious person in music than Tom York.
Hey, he's talented.
Tom York thinks he walks on water, homie. And listen, he's a talented musician.
Right. I don't care about him. I don't want to know him. I just want him to, but also I'm done with their style of music too. Like after in Rainbows, I kind of was over that. I didn't like the King of Limbs album.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask Tom York, he's bigger than Prince. He's bigger than everybody, right? Tom York is the most important musician that's ever lived, according to Tom York. And unfortunately, he does have some hits, but
I like if somebody said knife or gun to a head, Tom York or Matt Bellamy, I'd probably choose Matt over him, the singer and main influence for Muse.
Yeah,
because I think Muse's stuff is a little bit more across the board. And stuff.
I love Muse, but not to mention gun to your head, Tom York or Prince. I mean, come on.
Oh no, I mean that's I don't even. That's a stupid question, you know. Yeah. Like I'd be like, get that gun out of my face, and then I'd be like, ah!
Yeah, exactly. So,
but I am curious about that. If that was a new recorded Tom York thing, because they said again they didn't never want to play that song again. But I thought it worked perfectly. The opening of the film, the music to everything was great. And look, not only was it emotional with all that stuff, James Gunn feeling like kind of a trauma movie in certain ways, but he went back to his horror roots too, man. When they ripped that mask off the High Evolutionary at the end, it's like, oh, damn.
Yes. Yeah, I was surprised because, listen, Marvel movies are kids' movies. So I was surprised that by the way, did you notice some of the cameos in this movie?
Okay, well, I know that your hero Stallone's in there, but we all knew that from the trailer, and he was in
the 25th best action hero of all time. Sylvester Stallone is in this movie.
I'm not gonna let you jar me up today. I'm in too good of a mood.
But I put him in the top 30, man. I don't know what more you want from me.
That's fine.
Now see if you can name some of the other ones. There's a big one, Cosmo. I'm gonna give you that hint.
Cosmo. Well, first off, I can say this, that my buddy Andrew's actor friend, who was also in Suicide Squad, and she was there at the premiere that we went to there. She was in this movie. She was the girl with the curly hair that was letting them back over on the ship at the end, all the kids. She was I think, yeah.
She's got her face clawed off by a monkey.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of any. I just want to give her a shout out. Mention her name, Andrew, because I can't remember for some reason. But it's cool that she's in that movie. But I didn't see the other cameos you're talking about.
Is she Sarah Alemi? Is that her?
I'm not sure. I don't know her name in the movie. But
okay, Maria Bakalova. Does that name ring a bell?
Here, let me just look it up. I'll see real quick.
Did you watch a little movie called Borat 2? Did you hear about Rudolph Giuliani trying to sleep with a girl that he thought was underage?
I don't think that's her.
It's her. It's her. She played Cosmo. Yeah. She did the voice.
That's who you're talking about. I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought you were referring to my buddy's actor friend. I was like, what?
No. We're talking about Cosmo. That's one of the, also Ratcatcher was in this movie. She was Uda. So she's one of the few people that's crossed over to both DC and Marvel. Ratcatcher from Suicide Squad.
Well, also Jennifer Holland, who's Amelia Harcourt from Peacemaker and the DC. She's in Suicide Squad as well, the James Gunn Suicide Squad. She was the blonde evolutionary girl that got shot in the leg.
Yep, I was going to bring her up. Also, this is unofficial cameo, but the Doom villains. made it. That war pig looked like something straight
Oh,
out of Doom, the video game, dude.
for sure. That, but at the same time, I was like, oh, is that also the two Bebop and Rocksteady wannabes, Tonka and Razor from Ninja Turtles 2? Because for a second there, I was like, what is this? It was definitely funny and weird.
By
But
the way, if I see that Ninja Turtles trailer one more time for that god awful Seth Rogen remake that he's doing,
the
Jesus,
only thing I've seen of it is like teasers. I haven't seen enough to like be able to gauge it.
it just looks bad.
Well,
Just looks so bad.
I'll wait till I see a trailer.
They didn't have one. What trailers did they have for your Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
Mission Impossible.
Really? Damn,
Yeah,
I didn't get
nothing
that.
that stood out like that. Nothing new that I hadn't seen before. Nothing that
Okay.
stands out. The Marvels, they've shared that, of course. Um, but I mean, overall, I thought the movie was going to be like 3 hours and something long because that's what they were advertising. Giovanna Cruz, nice. That was her name in the movie, or that's her name as an actor. Oh,
About Kevin Smith? Yeah, we hear you, man.
Vecken? Is that what you said? Vecken Smith? Vecken. Yeah, come on, Ace Maniac. Fuck you. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you wouldn't be the only one that doesn't know a lot about the High Evolutionary. And I think he's one of those villains that it basically depends on the comic, the power scale. Like, listen, go back and read comics with Darkseid. There's some comics where Darkseid's beaten up by like Batman, and the other ones where he can destroy the universe. So scaling with these villains in comics is always weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why they sort of feel okay with sort of taking their own direction with certain characters, because sometimes in the comics it is a little ambiguous. It is a little all over the place.
Yeah, I didn't A-Train. I didn't like the trailer, but then again, not Seth Rogen. A lot of times, just he misses with me. So maybe I'm just seeing his name on the marquee, and I'm just automatically.
Look, I think we're all guilty of that. I think we're all guilty of like there's somebody being a part of something and us not liking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and listen, I don't want to hate on Seth Rogen. Seems like he's a nice guy, but I just don't. He doesn't make me laugh. So that's what it is. What it is.
I liked him a little bit more back in the day. But I haven't seen him being in any really comedy stuff in a while. The last real comedy thing I saw him in, I think, was The Interview. After that, he's done a little bit more other stuff. I thought that it was funny at the time, but I was also drinking at that time.
That would explain it. That would explain it. It wasn't like Shazam where they're sending him checks for his.
I just want to give Andrew props for saying this. We talked about this earlier. Did you already bring that up?
Yeah, we did. I thought we didn't understand why I started this.
I would know A-Train had brought that up, but
Yeah,
Andrew, right. I just want to let you know we saw that you brought up the helmet thing. We did discuss that. Yeah, I can't remember any other trailers though that I saw that really stood out. I mean, the Mission Impossible, I've seen it a ton of times. Oh, the Flash trailer.
Oh,
full on Flash trailer. It looks damn good, man. I'm excited about it for sure.
I am, but I still have this mistrust of DC after they put out so much crap.
But Andrew Machete, man, he's a good director. I'm telling you. So I'm trusting that he's doing with this, hopefully what James Gunn has been doing with movies.
Well, DC just, they haven't had a lot of good press lately. They, obviously we got all that stuff with Urza,
Sure. Oh no, I mean there is that. There is that.
And then the Geneva war crimes that they committed by showing terrorists copies of Shazam 2.
Jesus.
That's just too cruel. I just don't know if I get down with it. I mean, listen, I know we gotta get information from terrorists, but they're human beings. You don't have to show them Shazam 2.
You're spreading war lies on this channel. You know what we should do is we should do a commentary on Shazam 2 when it comes out on Blu-ray.
I don't know. Yeah, okay, we'll do a commentary on Shazam. I'll do it for the channel, guys. I'm subjecting myself to hell for the channel. Just so you know, by watching that god-awful movie, I may not be able to see or hear again. Then maybe God punishing me for watching that movie again. Well, or in my case, God's punishing me for watching that movie again.
No, but so here's the deal. I think that maybe it's not a good idea to do a commentary on it, just because I think that you would just be yelling at it the whole time.
Yeah, that's what. Well, that would make a good commentary. A Train, this is a fantastic question. What is your most anticipated movie of the year for both of you? Mine is Across the Spider-Verse. I would have to agree with you. Bobo does not understand that that's the best Spider-Man movie that's ever been made. He refuses to believe that just
First
because
off, A
he
Train.
hates animation.
No, first off, A Train. He's painting a picture to you. You've not been on the channel. I love that movie. I own it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I didn't say you hated it.
But the way you just said it made it sound like I did not like that movie. I love that movie. I just said that it's not I don't think it's the best Spider-Man movie because no animated movie is going to be better than a film movie, in my opinion, because I'm a director. I do film. That's what I do. That's what appeals to me. So it's just, I like that. I will always like film more than animation. It has nothing to do with Spider-Man. It has everything to do with me liking film over animation. So I just wanted to clear that up, but I am excited for Across the Spider-Verse. I will be there on day one because I love Into the Spider-Verse. I thought it was fantastic. And it is the type of animation I do like watching.
George is about to cancel Bobo for being racist towards anime characters.
Jeez.
I
always got to get the last word in on me.
That was Andrew, we talked about this as well. Nebula's growth in the series was great. And that's what also makes me think she won't come back. Plus, talk about having to go through makeup.
Oh, yeah. God, dude. And she's done that for more than just those movies. I mean, she was a main character of Endgame, so
she did for a Christmas special for crying out
loud. I know. Jeez, poor thing. And I like her. I want to be able to see her in some other stuff. I like her like in Jumanji. I thought she was good in that.
A Train, Into the Spider-Verse, for the record, is my favorite Spider-Man movie. With Bobo, I think you did say it was Spider-Man 2, right?
Well, I get a lot of hate for this, but for me, the two best ones are between Spider-Man 2 and Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Guys, that's the end of this channel. We thank you for.
Hey, you can say what you want. I think now.
Come on, man.
The worst moments of that movie are the worst moments of the franchise, no question, of the entire Spider-Man franchise. But the best parts of that movie, the Spider-Man moments of that movie, to me are some of the best Spider-Man moments in any of the movies.
You're just talking about him being quippy.
No, I'm talking about the fighting and some of the actual way it's filmed and the way it's done. Like I get chills a lot in that movie. And a lot of it has to do with Hans Zimmer's music, or I think really elevates that movie a lot. And when Spider-Man's doing certain things, I don't like the way Electro is portrayed as Max Dillon. That's silly. That was like the Riddler all over again from Batman Forever. I thought them putting the Goblin and Electro in there was too much. I didn't like the guy that got to do the Goblin. So like there are things about it I don't like. But I think that the Spider-Man moments, the heroic Spider-Man moments in that movie, to me, are the best Spider-Man-ish moments in any of the films. Spider-Man 2 is the best movie, no question.
Spider-Man 2 was my favorite. Unfortunately, this is always unfair to say. It doesn't age well. And you know what? A lot of movies don't age well. There are very few that are able to age well, especially when you're talking about a visual experience like a superhero movie. It's hard for those movies to age, For
me, it's just not, though. And I get why it's hard for other people. I really do understand that. I'm not being like judgmental on that. But for me, I can just lock it into that time and enjoy it for what it is for that time.
I just think, things evolve and superhero movies have evolved since Spider-Man 2. And I can't help but watch and be like, oh, man, if they had made this now, they would probably be able to do X, Y, and Z differently than they couldn't do back then. And so it's hard for me to enjoy the movie as much, but it's a great movie. I mean, when I watched it, I loved it. I thought nothing would ever surpass it.
Sure. And that's how we're feeling now with a lot of movies, and it'll still get surpassed.
Yeah. I think the Spider-Man movie you're talking about is one of the worst movies ever made. One of the worst Spider-Man movies ever made. I think it was a terrible movie. That movie was just cringe from start to finish. Hey. And like nothing made me realize that more than the ending where they kill off Gwen, and it's such a dud, and just everybody was so pissed and annoyed after they watched this movie and then they kill off Gwen. It's like, you just wasted 2 hours of my life that I will never get back.
Okay. Did you see this from A Train? Thank you. It says Amazing Spider-Man 2 is great. There's bad stuff, but the good outweighs it. Okay. Thank you. I agree with you there. Mm-hmm. To me, I think that it still has enough bad in it that definitely ranks it lower than some of the other ones.
As agreeing with me here, Spider-Man 2 hasn't aged well at all.
Again, some of those things you're going to like black and white movies, just because they're in black and white and we do things in color now, I don't think it makes them bad movies. They just are movies from the past. You know what I mean? Like they don't turn into bad movies because we've gotten better at things. It's just a part of the history, you know. Like for example, you're a better person and better at things than you are now, but you're not ashamed and you don't avoid the past parts of your life that made you who you are now.
Yeah, I do. Are you kidding me?
Well,
I hide that yearbook picture from everybody, dog. What are you talking about?
that's how I look at these movies, though. To me, they're all building blocks. They learn from them, and you know, you don't know what you don't know. So when you're making a movie and you're doing the best you can, now they do make mistakes and do make movies that for just to make them because they're trying to get a machine and cash cow going, and the MCU is proof of that. And it's later this last phase. But anyways, I don't want to get off on too much of that because we only got a few minutes left.
We got some heavy comments coming in. So, bruv, killing off Gwen, that scene chokes me. You're absolutely right. That was just, listen, you could have done it, but when you do such a poor job with the movie, the villains, the plot, your audience is bored, then you kill off a main character, your audience isn't going to be happy, right? Yeah, but we can't always say that if a movie doesn't stand the test of time, we have to discard it. Not saying you have to discard it all, but I am saying it does lose a little bit of its luster because it doesn't stand the test of time. It's hard for me to call it all-time great when there are some great movies out there that can just stand the test of time, right? But like I said, I still love the movie, and it'll still always hold a special place in my heart. I do think the best one is Into the Spider-Verse, easily the most common and accurate one. A lot of people I talk to that are hardcore Spider-Man fans, including myself, that have read the comics, agree with it. And that movie was made to look like a comic.
Yeah, so you can be more comic accurate.
Yeah,
it's a living comic.
The ending of Amazing Spider-Man 2 is one of the best. It's touching, heroic, and sad at all the same time, on top of a stellar score. Yeah, it was definitely a great. What makes Spider-Man 2 one of the best movies ever is the heart, not the Spider-Man scenes. The train sequence scene is awesome. And to kind of hammer home your point right there, hammer home your point about the train scene is that it's been redone so many times in Spider-Man movies, including Into the Spider-Verse, right? That's an iconic cinema scene, I think. That's one of the...
Well, and you know, it's the idea of, you know, there's not many superheroes that can, unless you're a flying superhero, that can keep up with that train. But Spider-Man can. Like Daredevil, it'd be tough for him he might be able to do it for a second, but after a while, that batons and everything, he'd miss or something. But like Spider-Man's just, and so it's kind of like, let's do the train again, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, once again, I love Spider-Man 2. It always holds a special place in my heart, but you know, it doesn't age well. And I think that needs to be acknowledged. Now, I'm not saying you have to go back and say, oh, it sucks now. Not at all. That's not what I'm all saying. It's one of the better Spider-Man movies of all time, but you know, definitely it'll drop a tier. It'll drop 1 or 2 ranks because of the way it ages. And that's just the way things go, you know? But
I think if you would have had a little bit more of the heart and the consistency of Amazing Spider-Man 1 carry over into how they got better at doing the action in Amazing Spider-Man 2, and Hans obviously doing the score in part 2. If you've had that hybrid, then I think you would have really had something popping for everybody. Because again, I don't want to sit here and say that Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the best one, because it's not. There are moments of it that to me it's the best Spider-Man that's ever on screen. And
we're going to see what they do with Across the Spider-Verse. And while I am optimistic, we've seen a lot of highly anticipated sequels for movies. For example, Love and Thunder. We've gone back to that so many times. We all love Thor Ragnarok. We thought there's no way Love and Thunder is going to missed, right? So I am going to be a little bit cautious in my love for the Cross and Spider-Verse. But yeah, I've got really high expectations.
But overall, though, I mean, these guys right here, they did it. Man, I did it. And as Maniac, I hope you didn't hear, we were doing spoilers earlier, so I hope you didn't hear it, because you got to see this movie still, and I don't even want to be spoiled, but I really do think that James...
Man, that scene where Superman comes in at the end, woo!
Oh, boy, it's great. Yeah, and Darth Vader's in there.
Yeah.
I really do think they knocked it out of the park, and I don't think that this is a sign...
we might have to get A-Train on the channel. He's asking a lot of good questions.
You are asking good questions, A-Train. Let me answer at least this. I do think that this is the most solid trilogy in the MCU. I think all 3 of these movies are if you look at all the trilogies, because Captain America 1 was good, but it's nothing compared to the second 2.
And Civil War is mainly an Avengers movie.
It was. You're right. It was. And Iron Man 3, it's fun. It's like an MTV Iron Man movie. You know what I mean? Like, but there's a lot of mad kind of plot stuff that's kind of like, come on, what are you doing here? But
yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't so bad that you couldn't enjoy it. But I think that
I did not like Iron Man 3 at all, buddy.
You didn't like it at all?
I hated that Mandarin that Mandarin reveal. I was like, this Shane Black being freaking Shane Black. Sometimes script writers are a little bit too predictable, and the predictability gets annoying. And Shane Black is that type of script writer.
I liked the Guy Kittredge stuff though. I liked all that, and I liked. To me, I did. I will say I was in the theater disappointed that that wasn't the real Mandarin, but I did like the kind
And
of.
then the villain you replace him with is awful.
What? Guy Kittredge? You didn't like Guy Pearce's guy
No,
or Alan Kittredge?
I liked his performance all the way up until the end. Then he was revealed to be the villain, and they rushed the reveal. They rushed him being the villain, and his powers were whack.
It worked for me, but I mean, I'd like it the least out of all three of the Iron Man movies.
I agree. I think it's the best Marvel trilogy. I do think that's a low bar, but I enjoyed all three of these movies. I know there are some people that aren't fans of Guardians 2. I love
Guardians 2.
I enjoyed
Guardians
it.
2 is great.
Yeah. And then I really enjoyed this movie. Now, once again, I feel like there's a lot
give him some love real quick. What was he saying right there? He didn't mind Iron Man 3, but didn't know about the Mandarin. So yeah, for somebody that doesn't know about that stuff in the comics, doesn't know, it says, why even fight Thanos when your suits can do it for you? Yeah, I mean, there was, and also in Iron Man 3, it's like I thought it was a learning curve for him to fly these suits as it's Tony, but then all of a sudden everybody's flying the Iron Patriot suit, and now people are stealing suits. It's like, wait, that's not how it worked. So
yeah, there was a lot of them. That's when they started doing moments just for the sake of pandering to moments, like Pepper putting on the Iron Man suit. That's from the comics. We got to put it in there. It's like, nah, just make it make sense.
It raises too many questions in my mind.
Yeah.
I don't like that when it raises questions.
Yeah, I don't understand the slander with Guardians 2. It was great. I agree. And I feel like, unfortunately, people are in a negative place with superhero movies. It's been oversaturated, and the quality has been poor. And so you have a lot of people like my former co-hosts on my other channel that are just out. They hate every single superhero movie.
And I can kind of understand, from where they're coming from. Like, it's burnout is happening.
Yeah, one of my co-hosts already said he watched this movie, hated it. And I know it's just the burnout in superhero movies. And my other co-host is probably the same way. Former co-host is going to be the same way. Yeah, he did not like Guardians 3.
Oh, wow.
He said that he thought the script was trash. He thought the villain was trash. He thought the whole thing was trash.
Wow.
And I know it's just fatigue. It's just fatigue from superhero movies. And my other former co-host seems to hate it. He didn't even like John Wick 4. So he'll probably hate this movie too.
I have more of a forgiving nature in general with movies. But I do think that this one, I'm optimistic with movies. Except
this is the most shocking statement that's been uttered on this. It's almost as shocking as Bobby liking Shazam 2.
Now, he loves The Dark Knight, mind you. He does, but he said that The Dark Knight, when he first saw it, but I think what he's saying is he was in a mood of kind of burnout, and so that's why he didn't.
Oh, I got you. Guardians 2 is in my top. Yeah, okay. So everybody on the channel seems to agree. Guardians 2 was good, despite the fact that for some reason it gets a lot of hate. So, with that respect to what you and A-Trade talked about, which I'm starting to feel like this is the real A-Trade as well, is that, it's easily the best trilogy. The events of Infinity War and Endgame were so epic, I secretly wish that they at least acknowledge Tony or something in this new Guardians. You know what?
I kind of like the idea of just not hanging on all the time,
I like the Guardians better when they're separate from the MCU.
Me too. And that's what Esmaniac and I were talking about earlier today.
Yeah, my former co-host Ecclesi he didn't hate it, but he said it was overrated, didn't like it as much as the other John Wicks.
Well, yeah, I've heard from everybody else that it's actually the best of the franchise.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the best action movies of all time.
Let's just simmer down.
All right. Definitely better than Over the Top.
That's not really an action movie though.
What is it? What type of movie is it then? The events of Infinity War.
It's about a father and his son.
Bonding over arm wrestling?
Yeah.
The events of
you know how arm wrestling was taking over the world at one point?
You know what he's gonna do next? He's gonna do the movie about the slap game. That's what he's gonna do.
He's got a reality show coming up called Sly and the Stallones.
Is it about plastic surgery? The events of Infinity War and Endgame were so epic. I secretly wish they acknowledged it. Okay, we covered that. God, man, you guys have missed us, and I like it.
I love it,
makes
man.
me
Thanks
feel
for
good.
slanging the comments.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, with that being said, though,
uh-huh.
I do need to cut this off. Not cut it off, but we need to wrap up the show because I gotta be back somewhere in a little bit.
Okay, that sounds good, guys. Don't blame me for this. Bobo doesn't want to stick around with you guys and talk to you guys.
No, it's not that. I would, usually an hour is about what we can go with. We will start going longer. We're going to do a Patreon episode on Monday, and we'll.
Yeah, thank you, A Train. Make him watch this movie. Do you guys? You know how mad I am at Bobo that he made me talk about Shazam 2, and I haven't got to talk about John Wick 4 yet. Shazam 2. It took years off my life watching that movie. I'm now going to die at 60 something, and I'm already 46, right? So, and this guy might, lightning might strike him for actually liking that movie as he's sitting there tapping his fingers, not understanding that he just committed a crime against God and all his people. Okay.
Hey, you know who else likes Shazam 2? Was Campia. John Campia likes it. So see you later, Ezzy.
Hey, John Campia can lick my nuts. All right.
Hey, I like you, John. I listen to your show all the time.
John, you have me on. We'll talk about how you can lick my nuts.
Easy.
I'm not a shill. John Campia. John Campia. Let's talk about John Campia real quick.
Slam other YouTube channels on this channel, just to be clear. We don't
John
Campia
annoyed me when he started taking. Now, I want to make this clear. We're not political on this channel, right? John Campia now tries to portray himself as like, I'm the guy that fights against these super right-wing channels. But then you freaking body shame Gal Gadot for God knows how long prior to her or right after she got the Wonder Woman.
I'm sorry I brought it up because now everybody's like saying screw John Campia. I'm just not a hater like that. I'm not about bashing people in public or on my platform. So I don't want to do that.
Hey, well, listen, man, you dish it, you can't, not you, right? John Campia. If you dish it, you got to take it, right? He was over there slandering Gal Gadot for being too skinny and not being the right Wonder Woman. He looks like a damn fool now after she owned that role. And then I can't take you seriously because now you're the opposite. Now you're going against other people who make the same sort of comments.
I'd rather not bash other people that are, that's not my style, man. And I'm a part of this channel too. So let's just chill out on that, please. I'm asking nicely.
Okay, we'll chill on it after I say screw you, John Campia. But we'll leave it on that note. Okay. Well, anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we loved it. What do you guys seem to have loved it too, as we love to hear what you think. And if you don't like it, as my recommendation to you would be to realize that if life gives you lemons.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize that we were already there. My fault.
Well, you're the one that...
Thanks some hot, fresh popcorn.
All right, we out, guys. Later.
All right, peace.